Good morning, and thank the Pondicherry team for this honor of presenting some of my thoughts on where we might be. So before I start that, I just want to also mention when I first joined Aravind a little more than 40 years back, I had come from a business school, and worked in the corporate sector and joined Aravind. And one thing that struck me was in Aravind, there was no targets or goal setting, so that was very much counter to what happens in the corporate world. You need to have a goal, you need to have targets to achieve. So I did take it up with Dr. V, and then Dr. V almost brushed me aside, saying that there is so much to be done, so any goal will be only limiting us. So he said there's no point setting goals. So that continues to be true. So we really don't have goals for the next 10 years, because there is so much to be done. So, and yet I made up something for this this presentation. I just go through in few steps. One is about our geographic presence. Now, we did start very small, 40 odd years back in a rented house, and then we have been steadily growing. And then for some of you who may not have the insight, our growth has been completely organic. In the sense, we built the next hospital only when we found that there were lots of patients coming from a certain geography. And it was again a patient-centric kind of a thought process that we should do something to reduce the patient's effort to get care. So we used to open a hospital there. So it was Madurai, Theni, Tirunelveli, Coimbatore, and that's how the journey started. So we today have 7 large hospitals, and we hope to add one. Not hope, the work is already on in Tanjore. By next year, we should have the 8th large hospital. And I think for a while that may be, we don't have a thought process to add any more large hospital, but that may happen again. If you find that there are geography from which we don't have a hospital, and for whatever reason patients are coming to us. We have 7 secondary hospitals, and that might grow, and that's completely left to the larger hospitals. Pondicherry may want to put up another secondary hospital, that would be very welcome. Vision centers, we have 100 plus now, and we hope to add another 40, 50 more. And I'll again explain the rationale behind that. So, and Tirupati is the only hospital that is outside of Tamil Nadu. Of course, Pondicherry is also its own state. And again, Tirupati, the only reason we went outside was in Madurai for almost a decade. We used to get every day 150 patients coming all the way from Chittoor district, almost 600 kilometers away, and resulting in about 50, 60 surgeries, mostly free surgeries. And then we really tried for more than 15 years now, from looking at from today, to get a place to do it. And then we succeeded only about 4 or 5 years back to open a hospital. So that's about the geographic growth, what we see in the future. And as of today, we have about 1.5 million square foot, 15 lakh square foot under construction in different places. Expansion of Tirunelveli, Coimbatore, Salem is happening, Tanjore, and also Orolab. So in terms of patient volumes, this year, 22-23, we will end up doing about 700 plus 1,000 plus surgeries, maybe about 7.5 lakh surgeries. So I'm pretty confident that by the end of this decade, we would be far exceeding 1 million surgeries. So it only takes about a 5% year-on-year growth to achieve that, which I think will happen. Probably we will grow even more than this. And this, I believe, is not just for us. No, I think this opportunity is there for everyone. I think there's going to be an explosion in the need for eye care for multiple reasons. Now, one, the population is aging quite rapidly. There is much greater awareness. And then with all these changes in literacy and the technology coming in, the need for good eye care is far, far greater. So all of that would kind of create the need for eye care. And on the other side, I think the payment capability is increasing, both in terms of economic growth as well as the government insurance schemes now that's covering most of the people. It's covering almost half the population under the bottom of the pyramid. No? So given all of that, I think there will be a very, very high demand for eye care. And I think it's for us to harness that. And again, it's something very interesting happened a year or two back. For the very first time, the global body WHO defined intervention threshold, and which is going to be monitored. So WHO has now said that anyone whose vision is less than 612 will have some visual impairment by way of quality of life or vision function. So if the condition is intervenable, we should intervene. So they have suggested that we should advise cataract surgery or prescribe glasses if the vision falls below 612. I think this is, in a way, I think a game-changing kind of a guidance, which will benefit both the patients primarily and the providers as well. Coming to this universal coverage, which is vision centers, because that's the only tool or a process that we have that works at the grassroots level, where we can actually have what I would call as a denominator-oriented care delivery service. Because typically you establish a primary eye care center where there is no eye care available. So you become the only provider. So you have the opportunity to think from the population basis, which we cannot do for a hospital. The bigger the hospital is more challenging because our denominator is not very well defined. But if you have a vision center, we know people come from 5-10 kilometer radius. So using that logic, when we looked at the data for our 100 vision centers as of March 2022, we were covering roughly 9 million population, about 90 lakh people. And out of that, about 2.3 million people, unique persons, have registered with us. That is a little more than a quarter of the population, which I think, in my mind, probably equals 100% of population coverage in terms of eye care needs. Now, this is given the age profile, probably 1 in 4 has a need for eye care. So that using that logic, I think this is one tool that we have which actually can cover everyone. So recognizing this, we set ourselves a goal, which is not something that we have gone to town talking about, but basically we said we have this powerful process, which can ensure eye care to everyone. So can we do something to promote this concept to make it available for 1 billion people? So this is one aspiration. So we have done a lot in this space to push this, and I'll show you a brief video of this. I hope you can recognize this person. Can you? Yes, Prime Minister of Bangladesh. Yeah, so she's at a function where they were launching, this literally about 2 weeks back, launching 65 new vision centers.
দেখেছেন যে প্রতি উপজেলার স্বাস্থ্য কমপ্লেক্সে যে কমিউনিটি ভিশন সেন্টার আমরা স্থাপন করছি, সেগুলি কিন্তু সেই বেস হসপিটাল একটা রেখে আমরা টেলিকমিউনিকেশনের মাধ্যমে তাদের পরীক্ষা করা হচ্ছে এবং চিকিৎসা দেওয়া হচ্ছে। আর যে ক্ষেত্রে একটু মানে ধরেন অপারেশন বা কিছু লাগে, সেটা তখন হাসপাতালে নিয়ে এসে তাদের করে দেওয়া হচ্ছে। আজকে ডিজিটাল বাংলাদেশ হয়েছে বলেই এই সুযোগটা আমরা তৈরি করতে পেরেছি। তাদেরকে আমি আন্তরিক ধন্যবাদ জানাই। আর বিশেষ করে ভারতের অরবিন্দ আই কেয়ার সেন্টার, তারাও কিন্তু এগিয়ে এসেছেন এই বিষয়ে আমাদের যথাযথ পরামর্শ দিয়ে এই চিকিৎসা সেবা মানুষের দুর্গায় পৌঁছে দেওয়ার জন্য। কাজে সকলকে আমি আন্তরিক অভিনন্দন জানাচ্ছি, এবং এর সঙ্গে আরো যারা ডাক্তার এবং অন্যান্য সহযোগীরা ছিলেন তাদেরকে আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাই যে আপনাদের পরামর্শেই কিন্তু আমরা এই কাজটা করতে সক্ষম হয়েছি। কাজে সেজন্য আপনাদের বিশেষভাবে আন্তরিক ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি।
So that's a prime minister of a country who's talking about vision centers for the public. She's basically describing how the vision center works, telemedicine, and all of that. And she has committed that they would cover the whole country. In fact, I just got this email yesterday from the head of their National Eye Care program. So he has written it to me saying that after completing 200 vision centers, they're going to be adding another 65 in the next 3 months, which will take them to 200. We would like to focus it internationally. So he is now seeking our help to popularize this globally as a model for eye care. Then he goes on to say, in the next sector program, we have plans to establish 300 more community vision centers, preparing the next action plan accordingly. So you can, this is how we're planning to achieve this 1 billion. No? Once they have their 500 vision centers, this would be 170 million people would have easy access to eye care, at least primary eye care. No? And they're all tied up to the teaching hospitals. So there is a system which makes it work. Within Tamil Nadu, again, we were able to influence the Rotary clubs, who have raised the money and who have distributed the money for setting up 200 vision centers just in Tamil Nadu. We have over 100. So I think even within Tamil Nadu, I don't think in most parts of the state, no one will need to travel for more than 10 kilometers for eye care. That's again going to become a reality. So, and then plus there are other states that are also adopting. So I'm just guessing as of today, probably we are the ballpark of touching 300 million people or so, to providing easy access to care. So this, I think, will become a reality in the next decade or so. So on the IT front, which I think none of us can get away from it, because digital technologies have become so pervasive. Unfortunately, at Aravind, we have been a very, very early adopter. We had the first computers introduced in Aravind in 1983. And then we started telemedicine and EMR in the cloud in 2004, long before that language even was there. The cloud language is much more recent. When we first set up the vision centers, we went completely digital and paperless. And today we have introduced the EMR, the iNotes that has come. And as with any of Arvind's technologies, products, they will be available for everyone. And already people are onto this. Several of our alumni are also using it. The hope in the coming years is to make it as an open platform, so that everyone who uses this can add on stuff that is very specific to them, to customize it and make it work for them better. And Kim is trying hard, who's heading this whole process, to bring in Snowman, which is a very phenomenal platform which standardizes the terminologies. And then some of you may not know, the government of India has brought this license for the entire country. So for each one of us, this is available free of cost, for us to use. So we will be integrating this, and once we integrate, whoever uses iNotes, this will be part of that. And another aspiration that we're having is that many of the big businesses, any of the large industries that you take, would have something called as a ERP, enterprise resource planning software, which means it runs everything in that industry. From supply chain, building, and everything is controlled digitally, which brings in a great level of ease of doing business or efficiency. So within Aravind also, we recognize that we have digitized almost every aspect of our work, from room booking, transport, supply chain, human resource management. Everything is digitized, but they're all different software programs. So one of our aspiration is to bring it all together and first make it work within Aravind as an integrated software which will run the whole organization. We actually had it in vision centers. In a vision center, we had a simple program which took care of everything, from attendance. When they come in, they log in, they have their face, attendance is marked, the supply chain, the accounts, everything was there, because we recognized to run a vision center, you required, we cannot have fancy managers in small places, so we required something to substitute that. So we will replicate that, and again, that will be something which should be available to everyone. And we're also hoping to leverage emerging technologies like AI. I didn't know that Kamalini had this idea of using interpreting facial emotions, to predict if the patient will comply or not. That be well, this is a question I've been asking many people. How do I know when I'm seeing the patient, if the patient will comply or not? If I know, I can talk to the patient in an appropriate way to make sure that there's a higher chance of doing that. So on the digital front also, we have an aspiration. Currently, before the EMR came in, we estimate about we had about 150, 160 users globally of our hospital management software. Now, which would, if you put the numbers on it, it will translate to roughly 3% of the global eye care happening through our digital platform. So now our aspiration, because this is not so much about market share or market coverage, it is all about promoting best practices. Like Dr. Ravi said, as a large provider, it is not an option that this safety and best practice are not an option. It is something that is morally, we have to do it. So we are constantly developing best practices, integrating into the software platform, which if is available to others and who have the freedom to modify it to their own needs. Which means that you're also ensuring better quality of care happening to the people that we serve. So that's another aspiration. And I see in the backbench Srini sitting, so hopefully he'll make it happen. He's heading our IT. On the academic and research, as you already heard from Dr. Nam, there has been we didn't have the focus 45 years back when Aravind started, because the whole focus was on patient care, and which laid that beautiful foundation. Then we added academics, then research came on board, and then we feel that we now have this moral responsibility given all of that. Now we have this huge patient volumes, we have good academic program, we have the clinical, the research infrastructure. So we have this moral responsibility of adding knowledge to the world. So there are certain formal programs that are going on. We have a NIH grant along with Kellogg, which will produce a number of clinician scientists within Aravind, and that will have its own ripple effect as it goes along. And many of the doctors are now wanting to enroll for PhD. We are collaborating with Maastricht, which will allow these doctors to continue to work in Aravind, do their clinical work, at the same time get a PhD. And then we're also trying to leverage the EMR into more active learning. And it's, today we are at around 300 publications per year, but we have 700 plus physicians working in Aravind. So I think that number we feel is very low. So maybe an aspiration there is possibly about 1,000 publications in the next 4 or 5 years, which I think is a possibility. We're talking about one publication per physician, which I think is really a moral responsibility. Hope we will learn something from Pondicherry, where they do frequently write-a-thons, and out of each write-a-thon, they will have about, I don't know, 20, 30 submissions that goes into the journals. LICO continues to promote best practices proactively. LICO is possibly the only institute in the world which does this proactively. A lot of people do it, when somebody asks for help, they would help. But here we raise funds, we seek out hospitals, we do things to build their capabilities. And thanks to COVID, we now have a new format, wherein we can do hybrid. And then originally we were skeptical, but then when we checked back with our partner hospitals, they really liked that method of interacting and mentoring and capacity building, because what we do in 1 week, which is a heavy concentrated dose, which most of which they forget by the time they go back. Now we spread it over a period of time, which allows them to also practice what they are learning. So we now are able to cover a lot many more hospitals and lot many more areas in this new way of working, and that will continue to grow. And to conclude, Orolab, will continue to do what it does. They're actually right now more than doubling their capacity. They're adding a very large building. They'll also become FDA compliant manufacturing facilities. They'll have a lot of new products and new equipment, which I think is standard of any manufacturing company. But there is something that Orolab also plans to do, which will be a bit unique, where it will add a lot of value to people practicing. See, Orolab, by just the nature of its what they do, they become really, really experts in a few areas. Now, one is about water treatment, the quality of water, which we need for operating rooms and things like that. They are extremely competent in sterilization, so they can give very good advice on sterility in operating rooms and the whole sterilization process, and also in energy. So now they would like to do something to make this as a structured offering, to other hospitals. Now, like for instance, when Orolab's team went to Shankardev Nethralaya in Guwahati in Assam, they went to sell products, but then they found their whole air conditioning system was so inefficient. So Sriram ventured on and requested, can we do something to help you become more efficient? And to his wisdom, Harish Bhattacharya agreed. And then Orolab organized for an audit, and now they have a 25% savings in their electricity bill, which will run to a couple of crores per year, for doing that. So the Orolab has got that core competence, which right now at Aravind we are leveraging quite a bit. I think all the operating rooms now have water treatment plants which they have put up, they periodically maintain. So this service is something which we hope to make it available to rest of the eye care sector. Thank you.